Hi folks, it's Coach Kelvin here from the We Run Virtual Run Club and We Run Coach for Leeds and surrounding areas as well as online coaching. In this little video, I'd like to share some thoughts on workout structure and something where I see some runners and to a certain degree training plans making mistakes. And that is where we put the hardest workout of a training block. And if we look at training plans, more often than not, the hardest workout will be on the hardest week. In other words, if the structure of the block is like working on 3 builds and then a deload, the build week 1 will be fairly easy. The build week 2 will be a bit harder. The build week 3 will be fairly tough. Then we take a download week to make sure that the body's absorbing that training. And when we're a good distance out from an event, that's actually a really good way of doing things for a lot of reasons. But it's wise to think about that peak training block. So when we get about 12 weeks, depending on the race, let's say I'll use a half marathon as an example. You'd probably go about 12 weeks out. The toughest workout, you switch that where your toughest workout is on the weekend of build week 1. So you're doing that on much fresher legs because you've had the download and the build week 1 has been sort of relatively easy. So you're just going to get a little bit more out of that workout, doing the hardest workout of the block on the weekend of the build week 1, and then build week 2 would be the second hardest, and the build week 3 would actually then become your easiest workout. The other thing that we're trying to do as well, as we get closer to race day, we're trying to make our training look more like the race itself, and that doesn't have to be just the race day. We're starting to change the structure. And if we work in the way that I've just described, so the toughest workout is on the weekend of build week 1, we're also starting to mimic the taper. So we've had the download week and a relatively easy week. So that's almost like a 2-week taper before we do the hardest workout. So not only are we going to get more out of the workout itself, we're going to start to build race confidence, sort of race day confidence for that runner. Because we often hear people say like, oh, I could barely run that workout. How am I going to be able to run that pace in a race? And that runner's just done that on, really, really fatigued legs on a build week 3. So we start to build that race day confidence by mimicking the taper and making sure we have a really good quality workout on the weekend of build week 1 once we get to about 12 weeks out. And that's 12 weeks out from the taper rather than the race. So I hope that makes some sort of sense. And if you have any questions, please pop them in the comments below. And for now, happy running.